The door that shouldn't be opened. It was a stormy night when Nate moved into his new apartment. The place was old, with creaky floorboards and peeling wallpaper, but it was cheap and he needed a fresh start. As he unpacked, his gaze landed on an odd feature in the living room, a narrow door tucked away in the corner, almost hidden by the shadows. It didn't seem to lead anywhere. Curiosity gnawed at him. When he asked the landlord about it earlier, the man's answer was abrupt. "Don't open it. Ever." Nate had chuckled, assuming it was some quirky landlord thing, but now, standing in front of the door, he couldn't help himself. What harm could it do? The doorknob was ice cold under his hand, and it creaked loudly as he pushed it open. Inside he found nothing, just an empty, pitch-black space. The air was heavy, almost suffocating, and carried a faint metallic scent. Nate stepped back, brushing off his unease. "Weird," he muttered, shutting the door. That night, as he lay in bed, he awoke to faint sounds. A low, rhythmic thumping, like footsteps, echoed through the apartment. Groggy, Nate sat up, his heart racing. He told himself it was just the old building settling, but the sound grew louder, closer. He tiptoed into the living room. The narrow door was ajar. He froze. He had locked it earlier, hadn't he? The thumping stopped. The apartment fell silent. For a moment, all he could hear was the storm outside and the frantic pounding of his heart. He approached the door slowly, reaching out to close it. But before his hand could touch the knob, the door creaked open wider, revealing the black void again. And then, something moved. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall and impossibly thin, its limbs unnaturally long and twisted. Its face, or what should have been a face, was featureless, a blank, pale surface. It tilted its head toward Nate, as if studying him. He stumbled backward, too terrified to scream. The figure took a step into the room, its movements jerky and unnatural. Nate turned and ran, slamming his bedroom door behind him and shoving a dresser in front of it. His phone. Where was his phone? He fumbled for it on the nightstand, but his shaking hands knocked it to the floor. Then the thumping returned, louder now, echoing right outside his bedroom door. It stopped abruptly. Silence. Nate held his breath. He didn't dare move. And then, a whisper. "You shouldn't have opened it." The lights flickered, and the room plunged into darkness. The last thing Nate saw was the blank-faced figure crawling toward him through the shadows. The next morning, the landlord arrived to check on his new tenant. The apartment was empty, save for the narrow door, now shut tight. From behind it, faint whispers echoed. "Another one.